Good evening, everyone. Hope you're doing well. JP Koster, Platinum Presidential, and I'm very, very excited to share with all of you this evening. We'll be doing these Tuesday night live webinars every 2 weeks, and we'll be covering different topics. So this evening, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the basics, and then, of course, in 2 weeks' time, I'd like to do another one, which will probably be on, how to make a names list, contacting, inviting people, presenting, following up and closing. So yeah, just to every sort of 2 weeks, just to engage with all of you and cover some topics that I think are really, really important as you grow your Manatech business. So if you're on the call this evening for the first time, welcome. Just a little bit about myself. So I've been part of Manatech for, in June, it'll be 15 years. So it's quite a long time that I've been part of this company, and it has blessed me in so many ways in my life. And I'm forever grateful that I said yes and decided to actually go to work 15 years ago. And this evening, we do have load shedding here with me, so I'm on a so hopefully there's no issues, but I've got some battery packs and everything, so hopefully we'll be all good. And I was thinking this evening, very often we say to people we've got a home-based business, but I think it's more like a room-based business, because I'm doing the webinar this evening from my bedroom, and as my wife's working in our office in the other room. So yeah, it's amazing how you can actually build a business all over the world, working from your room with a smartphone, and you're basically able to ship products anywhere in the world and be paid into your bank account in South Africa. And I think that's so exciting to be part of something where you can do that. So I'm just want to open my slideshow. So if you all just give me a minute or so. Okay, there we go. Getting started basics. So the interesting thing about this is that all of us have to get started. And I think sometimes I see people that have been involved in Manatech for 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, even 5 years, and they've never actually started building their business. They have signed up and they are sort of going through the motions, they're attending the functions, they're talking to a few people here and there, but they haven't actually made a clear, concise decision to say, listen, I'm really going to go out there and go and build the business as if my life depended on it. And then I'm not saying it, in a way that, your life has to depend on it, but what I am saying is that you treat it like a proper business, because there's that old saying that says, if you treat it like a hobby, you're going to get a hobby income. So, we do have the opportunity to help people with their health. And I've seen so many incredible testimonies, and I've heard so many testimonials about what the products have done for people. But more importantly, we're also able to set people up with starting a home-based business, working from home, where they're able to create a significant residual income. So firstly, just some important notes for a new associate. Of course, this applies to all of us, even in launching your business or relaunching your business, is that it's really make or break in the first 30 days. I think so often I see people, they sign up with Manatech, they're excited about Manatech, and then 30 days later you don't see them again, or they come to one function and then they disappear. And I feel for me it's so important within those first 30 days that you realize that you've got to help that person or expose them to some information that's going to make them stick, that you are going to help them sign up maybe their first 2 associates, that you're going to help them sign up their first 5 customers, that you get them to a function to expose them to, to a system where it's not just you and them involved in the business, but there's a large variety of people from all different backgrounds, all building the business together. So really, I very often see that, the first 30 days is such a critical time period in building your Manatech business. And this is not just what I say, this is what industry experts are saying, that the first 30 days is such a critical time because you've done all the work to get the person signed up. So it's so important for you to, when you sign them up, is to work with them and help them get started fast, because what we've seen in with statistics is the fact that those people that start quite fast in building their business, statistically they've got a better chance of being around a year and 2 and 5 later from the date they signed up. So very important to get your associates started fast by getting them into action quickly, and also helping them get those small successes. It might be how to show the plan for the first time. On that note, it's amazing for me how many people I see that are, even reach executive director and silver executive and gold executive and presidential that don't even know how to show the plan. I mean, for me, if it's your business and you want to treat this as something that can set you up financially, it's very important to be able to share with people how that works. So for me, some of those small successes might be helping the new associate understand the business plan better, It might be to explain the product to them, how to work the success tracker. But more importantly, all of those things are not really business building activities. Specifically, what I'm speaking of is really helping that new associate sign up his first 2 associates, getting to start showing the plan, to get some customers on the product, to get them exposed to the system, whether it be a Monday evening webinar. That's one way of exposing people. But the best way to expose people to this would be taking them to an opportunity meeting, taking them to a home meeting where they can really feel, the energy, and they can really meet other people that are also part of this business. Because unfortunately, even this evening, doing it on Zoom, it's not the same as doing it in person. We as human beings, we respond better when we in community. And you just can relate this back to when we were in lockdown, is how people miss being around each other. So very, very important to expose that associate to Manatech, but also to the bigger picture, that it's not just you and them doing it, that there's a whole bunch and a big variety of different people that do this. This is something for me, which I see all the time. And I even catch myself doing this at times. It's don't get ready to get ready. So often, we also say labeling tapes, you are so busy getting ready to get ready, but you never actually end up doing anything. And what happens with a lot of people is, in the beginning, they try and, learn everything about the product. They try to understand the compensation plan perfectly. They want to know what the perfect thing is to say to someone. And what ends up happening is they give up within the first 30 days because they've overcomplicated it. For me, where the rubber hits the road is where you take action. So instead of analyzing, take action, because that results in creating momentum much faster in your business. Because if you don't do that, excitement's going to fade. So very, very important is that you don't get busy with planning everything. Yes, it's important to plan, but that doesn't become such an important thing that you don't actually reach out to new people. Because, the business that we work is, networking with people. It's a contact sport. It's a contact business. You've got to go out there and contact people because you get paid for the volume that you produce as you build your Manatech business. So the next point is become a student and commit to becoming a professional. If there's one thing I can share with all of you this evening, over the last 15 years, I've seen a lot of people come and I've seen a lot of people go. And, for me, most certainly, I didn't start off with Manatech to become a platinum presidential, to, become $1 million earner with the company. That was definitely not my reason for starting with Manatech. For me, it was really just to earn an extra 5,000 to 10,000 Rand a month. And, and I realized even for that, I was willing to become a student. I was willing to sharpen my sword, to learn as much as I can about, Manatech, and also about building this type of business. That this is, it's amazing. We don't let people know that it's actually going to take effort to build the business. And then they're pleasantly surprised when they realize they're actually going to have to do something to earn a significant income. This is like any other business, except that you get to short track the amount of time it's going to take you to build a significant residual income, which for many people is going to be their retirement income. Most of us have not put away enough money to retire one day. And this is an amazing way that you can build your business part-time and be able to set up a full-time income. And then the next and the last point on this is, you've got to make a 1-year commitment. You can't sign up with Manatech and think that, you're going to give this a go for 1 or 2 or 3 months or 6 months. You've got to be willing to give this at least a year. If you want to achieve any success, I can relate this to myself. Personally, I went along with my team presidential within 10 months and 60,000 points more than 15 years ago. And I can tell you, I gave myself 1 year to make this work. And I was putting in 10 to 15 hours a week in building my business, which was really like 2 hours a day, or, which is, including me showing plans to people, for me being on webinars, attending functions. But it's going to take about 10 to 15 hours, because if you're not willing to put that in part-time, 10 to 15 hours a week, you can't expect to get to the type of business where you could be earning 20, 30, 40, 50, 100,000 Rand a month by putting in, 1 hour a week. It's just not enough time. And, it's almost like the cyclist, as an example, that wants to go and, ride the Cape Argus, or even, win the Cape Argus. How can they expect to win that race if they are only going to put, cycle for 1 hour a day? You have to be cycling 3, 4, 5 hours a day. Now, I don't know much about cycling, but I presume that's what you're probably going to have to do. You're going to have to be cycling for 3, 4 hours a day, every single day. So when I'm saying it's 10 to 15 hours a week, you've got to go and plan out when you're going to spend those 10 to 15 hours a week and on which activities you're going to spend them on. So On to the next slide. Sorry, the electricity has gone off now, so I'm sitting in the dark here. Part one is build the foundation. So I hope we're still online and good to go, but I'm sure we are. My Wi-Fi still seems to be working, or my 5G. So part one is building the foundation. So once your enrollment is completed, make sure that people have signed up with some product. You can't just sign people up and not get them to order any product. Otherwise, rather don't sign them up. That's the first thing. The second thing is make sure the commission check details are set up. Now, of course, a lot of you would have already have you already have set up your commission check details. You've obviously signed up already. So I'm just speaking about new people specifically now. But download the Lead Team app and register for that. We obviously have the is where you track your activities for the month. Download the Zoom app, register for Success Tracker. Now, this is something that's very, very important. Is with a new person, even for you, looking at your business over the next 90 days, because that's what we do. We work from event to event to event. So book for the event. Have you bought your ticket for the Super Regionals in Joburg or in Cape Town? Do you know where the next opportunity meetings are? And if they're in your area, make sure you're there, and not, make sure that you've scheduled your diary to make sure you're at the monthly training. And when is that? Where is it taking place? So you can get to the monthly training. To make sure you're going to be obviously at the Super Regionals, as I mentioned earlier. So very, very important that you book these events in your calendar. The next thing is work through the Getting Started website for products and opportunity. Now on manipole.com and manipole.biz, there is so much information there, but make sure you don't get too caught up in going through all the information that you miss the point in realizing that actually I need to reach out to people. I need to actually talk to someone, because I've seen it happen so often that people have all the information on the products, they've got all the information on the compensation plan, but their business doesn't grow, and they're never signing any people up because they're not actually talking to people. So, I even see this with so many people that make sure that in every webinar, they're scanning for the Lead Team app, they're scanning their TOMs, but they're never going out and showing plans. And they're never going out there and sharing the opportunity or the product with people. You cannot build a successful business like that. So if you want to make a success of this, and it depends what success, what type of level you want to reach or whatever. But if you want to make a relatively big success of your organization and building your Manatic business, you're going to have to make sure you're putting enough time and effort into building your business. The next thing is make your game plan. Now, 2 weeks ago, I spoke about, going core and what that means. So if you are on this webinar for the first time this evening, you missed last week, the last webinar, it will be in one of the Facebook groups. I also did put it on YouTube. So for some of you that want to work through that again or refer people to that, you're obviously welcome to do that. So I'll just run through these again, just briefly. The first part was be a product of your product. The second was to develop a customer base of customers using the product on a monthly basis. Third thing was following the system. The fourth thing is to attend all events. Fifth, be a student. 6, be accountable. 7, practice edification. 8 is to commit to weekly exposure numbers. And 9 is to spend time daily on self-development. And the 10th point was to do the right thing. So this, we covered all these topics 2 weeks ago. So make sure to go and review that if you do get a chance. Now set your goals. So you've got to go and think about, why are you even on the call this evening? Why did you even sign up with Manatic? Like, what is it really that you want? Like, why would you sign up with us? And what is going to motivate you, even if you don't feel like it? That's the type of thing you've got to think about, is when you're setting a goal, you've got to think about it. It's got to be big enough to make you want to do it, even when you don't feel like it. And, what is the goal that you're willing to get out of your seat, or when you don't feel like doing it? What is the goal that's going to inspire you enough to go out there and go and do that? Now, that may be for you to bring your wife home from work so she can be a full-time mom. That might be because you want to qualify for the incentive to Turkey. That might be because you want to become financially independent and retire, within the next 2 to 4 years. It might be because you want to buy a new car, pay off your debt. Whatever that is, you've got to find something that is going to motivate you enough to actually do what you need to do. And if you think about it, it's so interesting when people work work in a normal, corporate environment or a job or whatever. It's amazing what motivates you, because you need to pay the bills. So you have to have that same motivation that's going to inspire you to actually go and do it and do what you need to do to build your organization. So, so that's the first thing. The second thing is goals or dreams with a deadline. Everyone has dreams. I have a dream of going platinum presidential. I have a dream of, whatever it may be. But if you don't put that in writing, and put a deadline to it, how do you possibly expect to achieve that? So make sure that you put a deadline to that. So, for instance, what I've also realized is that very often I can set all these amazing goals for the year. Like, I want to achieve this, I want to do this, I want to do this, and I want to do this. And what I realize is sometimes when I look at those goals, it's important to set goals. But what I realize is that I can't always control what's going to happen with those goals. I can't control the past because the past is the past. I can't control the future, but I can control the present, and which will become eventually, if you look at working in the present, that becomes the past. But also the fact that I can control what I do right now. And for me, is to sometimes, take the focus off, have the goal there for what your goals are for the year, but go and work out what are the things I need to do daily, and just do that for today. I wrote here, day-to-day willpower, just for today. What can you do just for today? So if I'm saying to someone, you need to reach out to people a day. Like, don't think about, oh, I'm not going to be able to do that for the whole year. Just do it tomorrow. Can you do it just for one day? Yes, I can do it for one day. And if you can do it for one day, you can do it for 2 days. If you can do it for 2 days, you can do it for 3 days. So that is why I say just for today. Just focus on one day where you do the right thing for you to achieve success. And I said, the average people, for me, the amazing thing about Analytic is where average people can achieve financial independence in the next 2 to 4 years if they really commit. Now, I'm not saying of course, there are a lot of people who've been involved in Analytic for 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years that haven't achieved what they wanted to. But what you've got to ask yourself is, have they done, or have you done what you need to do to achieve success? And we're going to cover some of those things that you can have a look at. And I'm also guilty of this. Very often, I've also I've not done what I need to do. I know what I need to do, but I'm not doing it. So why am I not doing it? That's the question, is to ask yourself, what's really going on here? Why am I not doing what I need to do? There's something that's holding me back. What is that? Let's go and assess that. Let's work on that. Let's go and figure out what we need to do to make that better. But why do I not want to go out there and go and do this? Is it because I'm afraid of rejection? Is it because I care what other people think? Is it because whatever it may be, there might be reasons why you don't want to do it. But you got to make sure that if your dream's big enough, then you don't get caught and bogged down by the obstacles that you have to reach because your dream's so much bigger, or your goal is so much bigger. So make sure your goal is so much bigger than what the obstacles are that you have to overcome to achieve that. Something for me, if you actually ask my wife, what is the one secret for me, that if she has to analyze it, it would be the consistency. Now, a lot of people have superpowers, but if you want superpowers in this, building your Manatic business, it's to be consistent. To be consistent, because of course there can be times when you're going to be disappointed, and there are times when you're going to be very excited. But be consistent in your activity, and try and be consistent in your attitude, and your way of thought, because it doesn't help one day being excited and the next day you feel like quitting. You've got to be consistent in your demeanor. Now, the last thing I wrote here was Dawdley Days, and I actually got this in a book. I'm reading an amazing book. It's called Discipline is Destiny, by Ryan Holiday, The Power of Self-Control. And I think the interesting thing about it is, in the book they talk about Dawdley Days, and those days when everything seems out of control, when you're just not feeling up to it, when there are distractions and you still do it, is the day you step into greatness. So when everything seems out of control, when you just don't feel up to it, when there's loads of distractions and you still do it even though you don't feel like it, that's the day you step into greatness. Now, and if you go and ask any of the presidentials, any of the platinums, any of the even gold executive directors, or anyone that's been in Manatic for quite a while, if you ask them, there are going to be days when you don't feel like it. But the day that you can overcome that and say, I don't feel like it, but I'm still going to do it, because of what my goal is, I set myself out. That's why I'm going to do it. Because think about anything in life. There's nothing in life. You might be studying a degree. You're not going to like attending all the classes. You're not going to like writing all the exams, but you do it. Why? Because you've got that desire to get your degree. Or maybe it's to start your own business. Yes, you're not going to like everything in your business. There's going to be parts that you don't like, but you're going to carry on pursuing it and even go through that because you have got the desire to make a success of the business. And it's the same thing with Manitic. You can apply it in the same way. Another thing I read in the book, and this is specifically about a baseball player who they think was one of the greatest baseball players ever. And he wrote something where he said, when you're tired, when you don't have to, even if you have an excuse, even when you're busy, even if you won't get recognized for it, when you don't feel like it, just show up. And I think, like, how powerful is that? Like, when you're tired, like when you don't feel like it, when you don't even have to do it, when you know no one's going to recognize you for it or praise you for it, you show up, just show up. And he says, yeah, it's hard, but because it's hard, the good news is that most people won't do it. They don't and won't show up. They can't even do one tiny thing a day. Don't worry about setting records. Just show up for duty, just one day at a time, no excuses. I read that and I was so inspired by that because it reminds me in our Manitic business how important it is just to show up. If you have to ask me why, how did I go platinum presidential? It's because I showed up at one more function. I showed up for one more webinar. I showed up for, one more counseling session. I showed up for one more appointment I had with a prospect. I showed up for one more day of making a names list and contacting people. It's just showing up one more day, reporting for duty, like almost like you in the army. You're reporting for duty. That's what's called of you, is to go and fight for your life. Go and fight for freedom. So I think that's something just to realize that you show up one more time, and it's amazing. January, February is always a time when a lot of people come back from holidays and they've been resting and they are figuring out, am I going to do Manitic? Am I not going to do Manitic? Or am I going to go huge in it? And it's amazing, how people sort of reacted this time of the year, because some people are coming to the end, they're doubting themselves, or they doubt that Manitic's not working. Manitic works. If you put enough volume into the organization, it's going to pay. The problem is are you working it? That's the big thing. Have you been reporting for duty? Because if you haven't been reporting for duty for the last 2 years, you can't expect your Manitic business to grow. If you haven't been reporting for duty over the last 6 months, how can you expect to have a great month in December and January, which are the toughest months in our industry? So I want to encourage you, be consistent and just show up one more time, one day at a time, and I think that's something for me. I was speaking to someone about it this morning, is that whenever you look into the future, you can become anxious about it because you can't control that. Whenever you look back at the past, you can sometimes become depressed or sad or angry about the past. But that you can't control any of that. You could only control what you do right now in the moment. And I guess that's why there's the cliche that says that, the moment right now, that's the present, because that's the only way you can change anything. Because we can so get caught up in everything that's going on around us instead of focusing on doing the main thing. And the main thing you have to do is go out there and go and help people. That's like what we're called to do, is go out there and help as many people as we can. So the next part is scheduling your time. The secret to growth is how you spend your 10 to 15 hours a week that you are going to be putting into your Manitic business. Now, 10 hours a week, what's that? 2 hours a day. Now, that might be listening to audio on the way, to work. That might be in the morning when you go for a walk, or waking up a little bit earlier and, doing some work. But you want to ideally work towards putting 10 to 15 hours a week part-time into your business until it gets to a stage where you can actually go full-time on your business. And when you go full-time, you won't be you're still going to be working it as a part-time business, to be dead honest with you. So you got to very, very much sit down and figure out, where am I going to spend that time? Because if you are spending 15 hours a week on Toms, listening to the audios, you're spending it on reading, you're spending it on checking your success tracker, you're spending it on counseling, but you're not spending any time on reaching out to people and talking to new people, man, then you're going to have a very, very, very challenging time ahead, because that is where the rubber hits the road. That's where it happens for you. To be dead honest with you, I was speaking to another leader about this 2 or 3 days ago. When I went presidential many, many years ago, 14 years ago, I went presidential because there was no Toms. There was no There were functions. Yes, there were functions. There was no hectic counseling sessions. There was no webinars. But you know how I did it? I stuck close to my upline. I was bringing people to functions, and I was showing 10 to 15 plans, well, more than that, probably 15 to 20 plans at least, a minimum per month, every single month consistently, which means sitting down with someone, explaining them to explaining the Manatic story to them. So, that's how you do it. You do this one person at a time. So this is why I'm saying here, real business growth activities. So you got to do real business growth activities, which is not even attending this webinar this evening that I'm doing. That's not a real business growth activity. That's busy work. Very often people get very busy. Someone once said to me, busy, and they say that is being under Satan's yoke, being busy. So what are you busy about? Real business growth activities are you reaching out to people, showing the plan, contacting people, following up with people. That's building the business. It's getting people to functions. That is 80% of the business. The busy work is 20% of it. Like being on the webinar this evening, your counseling sessions you do with your upline, attending functions. Well, of course, if you had a function with a new person, that would definitely be very productive. But don't get caught up in all the busy stuff instead of focusing on what actually grows my business. Doing home meetings for your brand new leader. I mean, that is where that's the engine room of your organization. The third point is mark off the time you'll spend on different aspects of your business. We've just spoken about that. Okay, well, if I'm attending the Monday evening webinar, that's already an hour. If I have got this session with me, that's another hour. So what have I got left? If I've only got 10 hours, I've got 8 hours left. When are you going? What time? When is it going to be your time that you're going to actually talk to people about the business? When are you going to be presenting? When are you going to do your follow-ups? So you got to start thinking about that, which is very, very important. Plan it a week ahead of time and you'll be more productive. So sit down on a Sunday or on a Monday and figure out during the week, what are my commitments? When are the functions? When are the webinars? When is everything taking place? So I can actually schedule everything in my diary. Schedule the upcoming events for the next 90 days. Know where the super regional event is. Make sure you're at the super regional. Don't miss the super regional event. Make sure that you're there. And lastly, events are critical for success. So plan and arrange around them so you can be there, because I've never ever seen someone that doesn't leave an event more excited than they were when they arrived there. I've never seen someone make a success in Manatic that doesn't go to the events. That's the only way you're going to make a success. And yes, you might feel, well, I've been to many of these functions. Like, you know what? There's one thing being at the function. It's the next thing is actually, what are you doing with it? What you're learning there? And why haven't you got new people there? Because when you've got new people there, the functions are very exciting. When you don't have any new people there, then it's boring. It can get boring. And that's what I very, very often hear people say, yeah, but it's always the same thing. Or, there's only different speakers or, doing different topics or whatever. Do you know what? If you've got new people there, you're very, very excited about the speakers that are sharing. So make sure that you get new people there. And that's where the focus needs to obviously be in growing your organization. The next thing is complete your names list. Don't underestimate the importance of the step. This is the first basic step that you do. Besides obviously knowing why you want to do the business, what's going to motivate you to do it, but complete your names list. Write down the names of people you want to speak to. Don't underestimate the importance of the step. Guys, I'm saying that again, because if you haven't got a names list, I don't even know why you are even on the call. If you're on the call this evening for the first time, then great. But if you've been part of Manatic and you haven't had ever written the names list down, you are wasting your time. Just be a customer rather. Don't look at this as being a business builder when you're not even prepared to write down a names list of people you'd like to share the product with and people you'd like to share the opportunity with. And I'm being honest with you. I was on someone's names list when they contacted me. Lots of you on this call, you were on someone's names list when they contacted you. So sit down, and it's going to take half an hour for you, maybe an hour, to make a names list. The most important step that you'll do, make your names list. If you haven't made a names list, it's not too late to start. It's only 1 week and we're into February. So if you want to really get rocking and rolling, you can do that next week. You can do it tomorrow. But I would recommend that you start with a names list. Don't prejudge people. I think if you think about it, I wrote down your 240 names. Why? Because you have to in any way, if you're building the business, I'm not talking about a customer. You have to be talking to at least 20 people a month. Sorry, 20 people a month. Yes, exactly. 20 people a month, which is 240 people for the year. Now, if you want to be signing up at least 2 associates a month, which I think is very, very possible. And all of us, even if you're doing this part-time, that's what the amount of people you should be signing up every month. If you're reaching out to 20 people a month, you should be signing up at least 2 associates every single month. Some of you are going to do more than that, but and you're going to get lots of customers as well. But you want to at least write down a list of 240 names. And you think, oh, how am I going to find the people? Go through Facebook and look how many people you've got on there. Go through your WhatsApps and look at the people you've communicated with. And don't prejudge them. You never know who's going to build it and who's not going to build it. Don't make the classic mistake of thinking you're going to talk to 5 or 6 people and you're going to stop there. And those are the people you're going to work with, and you're going to try and drag them into the business. You're going to try and beg them to join. That doesn't work. Make sure you reach out to lots of people very, very quickly. Work towards a couple of 100 names if you can. Because what happens is that if you're working off a small list, it gives you weak posture, and you've got a very much a fear-based approach where you are not going to have that confidence. You are going to feel, shit, but I've only got like 20 people to talk to. And if the first 10 say no, you're going to be saying, oh, no, I tried Manatech. It didn't work for me. So start with a large list, because, you look at our top income earner, Manatech, he spoke to over 2,000 people. One of the other top leaders in the industry says, when he started with his company or building his business, he spoke to 1,200 people. 900 said no. He said, 300 got involved. 100 of them did something, and like 7 or 10 of them is actually his whole business was built below those 10 people. And that's how he became a multi-million-dollar earner in the industry. So large lists create strong postures and confidence, and that's where your possibilities come. Every single name in that list is a possibility. It's a seed that you don't know what can happen with that seed. And that, as amazing as it is, that person might know someone who might know someone. And think about it like this. If you contact 100 people, and each one of those 100 people contact 100 people, that's 10,000 people. If they each contact 100 people, that's 1 million people. So you can pretty much do 4 levels have impact on 1 million people. I mean, and if it's another level, it's 1 billion people that you can share the opportunity with, just through you focusing on sharing with 100 people. And, of the 100, you're obviously not going to sign up 100. You might sign up, 10, 15, 20 people. But if you can get each of them to do that step and saying, you know what, I'm going to talk to 100 people about the product and the opportunity, man, that's where greatness is made, by actually just doing it. And how did you do it? Everyone's going to ask you, how did you do that? Well, you know what I did is I listened to this call that JP did. And what he said is every day, just focus on what I can do today. Don't focus on what I have to do. Don't focus on the 240 people you got to just write those names down. And then what you do for next month or whenever you start, you write down who the 20 people for the month that I'm going to talk to, and you write that in your diary. The next month, who the 20 people you're going to talk to, write that in your diary. The next month, who the 20 people you're going to talk to, write that in your diary. So you don't have to ever, because you know what, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. You've planned your whole year ahead. You know exactly who you're speaking to every single month, and you're giving yourself a year to succeed. And I'm telling you now, if you're willing to do that, then you are guaranteeing your success, because most people won't do that. A lot of people, in fact, will be on the call this evening and say, oh my word, that's such a great idea. I'm going to do that. But they won't do it because they'll get distracted. It'll sound like a great idea, but they're not going to partake. There's only like a handful of you on the call this evening that's actually going to do that. It's actually going to write down 240 names at least, and write down every week who the people they're going to speak to, and actually mark it through the diary for the whole year, and then say, you know what, this is my goal. I'm speaking to make that your goal for the year. I'm going to speak to every one of these 240 people, and that's what I'm doing for the year. And how am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to do that by, I only have to speak to, 5 people a week. 5 people a week. Who can't do that? In fact, it's probably better if you speak to 20 people in the first week, and then you've got enough time to follow up with other people for week 2, 3, and 4, and signing them up and showing plans. But whatever works for you, there's not one way works for all. You've got to look at what works for you and what's going to be how are you going to be the most productive when you're doing this? Is it going to be to do it all in one day? Is it going to be to split it up and do 2 people a day? Is it going to be to do this all over 5 days or 10 days? But when am I going to do it, and how am I going to reach out to those people? You've got to plan your life. Because why? We plan our holidays better than we plan our lives. And I'm not sure if you've heard that before, but that's so true. Launching your business, getting into action quickly. So why is that important? Because Most people don't get going quickly. They gonna sign up, they're gonna check the thing out, they're gonna maybe come to an opportunity meeting, they're not actually gonna do anything, it's not gonna, and then it's not gonna work for them. So it's important, get into action quickly. That's where it happens. The only two things you can control is your actions and your activities. Sorry, your actions and your attitude. Your attitude and your activity. Sorry, action and activity is pretty similar. But think about that. Your goals need to be focused on. They need to be activity orientated, not results driven. Expose as many people as quickly to the opportunity as possible and to the product, but mostly what you're doing, if you want to build the business fast, I would focus on talking to associates, people that are potential business builders. If they're not interested in building the business, talk to them about the product. Some people, of course, should just talk to them about the product. But what I'm talking about here is finding business builders, because that's how you create momentum in your business. Because business builders are going to talk to other business builders and to product users, whereas a product user is not going to share with anyone. So you're not going to get that exponential growth. Schedule the follow-up with those that are interested within 24 to 48 hours. So if you've sat down with someone, explain to them how it works, or send them a link, let them know when you're going to be following up with them. Find out from them if it's early in the week better, is late in the week better, is mornings better or afternoons. So it's important that you ask those questions that probe people to giving you an answer, because people or human beings are very indecisive. Let the links do the talking. So we've got these amazing links on www.manipul.com where you can, in 15, 20 minutes, give someone a brief overview in 3 simple steps of videos they can watch. That's going to run them through the company. It's going to run them through the opportunity. It's going to run them through the products. So just something I want to share on this. Don't think like, if you put 240 people, if you message just in one go, 240 people, oh, I've spoken to 240 people. I'm talking about you connecting with those people, actually having a connection with them, and yes, exposing them to the information, but connecting with them, then exposing them to the information. That's what you're looking for. So, but let those tools do the talking for you. Don't you try and do everything. Get the tools to do the talking for you. The next thing is, if you want to really get going, some people call this a major blast or a blitz or whatever you want to call it. But if you can get 80 to 100 people into your prospecting funnel as soon as possible, you can start creating large momentum. Now, you see, some people are going to talk to 2 people a day for, which is 10 people. And let's assume you're only doing this from Monday to Friday. That's 10 people. And so some people are going to do that. And then the next week, they're going to talk to another 10. And then the week after that, maybe to another 10. The week after that to another 10. That's 40 people they've spoken to. What you'll find some people will do is they'll do and reach out to 10 people a day for 2 weeks, and that's 100 people, and they can create so much more momentum doing that, because you are decreasing the time frame. You're making it a shorter period of time, which means you can create more momentum, because you'll have a lot more people that are interested, that want to sign up, and you're going to be so busy with working with those people that you are not going to actually have time to carry on talking to new people. So that's why sometimes a nice approach is if you can pre-qualify people, in the sense of, if they haven't worked through the information, they pretty much, and you've booked the follow-up, they're telling you they're not serious about this. They're not really looking right now, because you're looking for people that want to build now. So I just said, this doesn't mean you have to do 80 to 100 presentations. What you need to do every month is show the plan to at least 15 to 20 people. Show the presentation, sit down with someone or do a Zoom call with them. That's what I'm talking about, with at least 15 to 20 people a month. If you can do that, you are stepping into greatness in building the business. Just give people an opportunity to look at your product, an opportunity, and to see if they're open. That's what we do. We're giving people an opportunity to see if they're open to look at the products that we have, which is incredible, or the opportunity we have, which is amazing. So, and you are just trying to see if they're open to that. You need enough people looking to get traction and momentum in your business. I think we've covered that already. Just a few points that I just want to go through before we end the presentation. Is some of the concepts that another book that I've read recently called The 5 a.m. Club, but they speak specifically about this in the book also. And some of these points are just points that, that I've written down over the years that I've come across in my diary. But the first thing is 30-30-1. What does that mean? Spend 30 minutes a day for 30 days on your highest income producing activity. So let's assume you're in Manatech. Where can you carve out 30 minutes in your schedule for the day excuse me, where you can do the most important thing to build your business. When can you do that? So what will that be? Well, that's going to be reaching out to people. So can you do that for 30 days? For 30 minutes a day? And if you look at below this, I talk about the daily 5 targets for the day. Therefore, so if your goal is every day I'm going to reach out to 5 people, or that's 5 little targets that you've reached, which is 150 valuable victories you've had. So you feel like you're moving towards someone. So you're trying to have 150 wins for the month. Now, if you are really bad at this, and you're only signing up 10%, that is, 15 people you sign up as associates, because you have scheduled the time. You're doing the 30-31, which is 30 minutes a day, 30 days. What's the highest income producing activity? Reaching out to people, talking to people. The things that are scheduled, the things that get done. We spoke about that earlier. So schedule your diary, know when you're speaking to people, know when the functions are, know when the meetings are. The next thing, I spoke about this briefly as well, design your week on a Sunday or Monday. So figure out exactly what's happening in your week. So that you don't have to think, oh, what do I have to do tomorrow? Or what do I have to do today? You know exactly what you need to do, what your next steps are. 90% of success is a mental game. This business is all a mental and emotional game. That's what you're playing, is you're playing a game of controlling your emotions and controlling your thinking. And are you winning that? If you're not winning that, then you got to listen to some CDs, watch some YouTube videos. You should read some books, attend some functions, but you've got to realize that 90% of it is up here. It's a mental game. It's what do you do with your thinking? What do you do with your activity? What do you do with your emotions? And that's something that all of us have got to realize, is that, Art Williams said that 90% of winning is all about just being excited and being enthusiastic. Oh, I love this one. A numbers game. This is so relevant to me, and I think so relevant to so many of you on the call this evening. It is a numbers game. Stop trying to figure it out and just do the numbers. That is so true. Stop trying to figure out what you need to do. What must you do? How do you grow the volume? What do you do when someone cancels? What do you do here? How does this product work? Stop trying to figure it out. Just do the numbers. Reach out to new people, because new people are the lifeblood of your organization. So you can find the next people out there that are going to see the bigger picture, that you don't have to drag over the finish line, that at the function, they're the ones that are calling you. You don't have to phone them. And something else I've also seen many times is when you as the leader stop personal recruiting, your business will slow down. If your business is slowed down, I'm telling you now, 90% of the time, or at least 80% of the time, it's because you stopped recruiting. And if you have been recruiting but still falling back, or your volume hasn't grown, it's because you are recruiting, but you're not teaching and training and helping those people that you recruit to recruit new people into Manatech as customers and potentially as business builders. So new blood is the lifeblood of your organization. The last point here is freedom requires discipline, because discipline gives us freedom. So think about, when I think about that, I look at, at children, regarding boundaries, or even with humans regarding boundaries. It's really, really important that you have the disciplines and the self-discipline to do what you need to do every day. So, I hope that was of value, and it's been great to share with all of you this evening. And we are going to be doing another one of these calls in 2 weeks' time. So I just want to wish all of you an amazing rest of the week, and please don't miss the Super Regionals in February. There's going to be one in Cape Town. There's going to be one in Johannesburg. The next most important thing you can do is be at that function and make sure you bring some new people along to that event as well. So thank you very much, everyone. I wish you all the best for the year ahead, if you haven't got started yet. And I will make this recording available for your Facebook groups and also for YouTube, so you will be able to find it on there. So thank you very much, everyone. All the best there, and blessings to you.